has been provided in accordance with section 3D of chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Sunshine Law. Roll call.
Paul Muir. Jose Reyes.
Here.
Jeff Coletti. Ken Chalet.
Here.
Jose Maderos.
Here.
Bill Bellin.
Here.
Grace Ann. Here. Brad Nelson.
Here.
Ryan Messinger.
Here.
Alexa Cardian. Here. Steve Lorenzo.
Here.
Daniel McDonald.
Here.
Scott Wilhelm. Tom Decker.
Davis. Yours. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move the order of the public.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any comments? Yeah.
Yeah, I think data center is on there.
Yeah.
Okay, did you guys get the letter from the Environmental Commission? We wrote a letter to the mayor.
That was in township committee. No, we don't have that.
You don't have that, so I can send it to you. If at the township committee, he didn't have it up because he said it was only we're only advisory, which is true. But I don't mind sending it to you. And also we had attached a model ordinance from Commissioner Kern up in Warren County. So I can send that off, email it to Monica, but I was wondering if you would like me to read it during your comment at that time when you get to that agenda
Yeah,
item?
that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
We're reading that.
It's up to you.
Yeah, you might as well do it now, because we're not standing there.
I didn't have a chance to make copies or email it through. Hello, Mayor Muir. As members of the Environmental Commission, we have been concerned about the rapidly growing development of data centers across the state and the country. We have examined the pros and cons of the development of data centers in Bethlehem Township and have come to the conclusion that the negatives far outweigh any positives. We urge the Township Committee to enact an immediate ban or long-term moratorium on the allowance of data centers within our municipality. While often framed as clean tech investments, evidence from across the country reveals that data centers operate as resource-intensive industrial buildings that offer negligible permanent employment while placing an unsustainable strain on environment, community, and infrastructure. We request that you consider the following evidence-based arguments for a ban. Number one, unsustainable resource consumption. Even small data centers consume hundreds of thousands of gallons of water daily. This is particularly concerning for a township whose residents rely 100% on groundwater from aquifers and frequently face. Number two, strain on the energy grid and increased energy costs. These facilities use excessive amounts of electrical energy. This results in residential electricity rate hikes due to higher demand and costs of infrastructure improvements to accommodate the increased load. Number three, minimal job creation. Unlike traditional industrial sectors, data centers are non-labor intensive. While construction creates temporary roles, a finished facility will provide very few jobs, many of which are low wage, security, or maintenance. Number four, health and quality of life impacts. Residents living near existing data centers report constant low-frequency noise pollution from cooling fans and air quality issues from industrial-sized diesel backup generators. These generators emit nitrogen oxides and particulate matter linked to respiratory and heart disease. Number five, environmental impact. The heated wastewater leaving the facility would create new pathways and increase the surface water temperature to the wetlands and the riparian zones, which would have a drastic effect on wetland and stream ecology. This would impact the water that recharges aquifers that supply residential drinking water, as well as Spruce Run Reservoir and the Musconetcong River. Number six, heat islands. Increased ambient temperatures are being experienced for miles surrounding by data centers. The increased localized heat burden is a nuisance for neighbors with increased cooling costs. The potential respiratory health effects on people and potential environmental impacts of the disrupted ecosystems due to these microclimates are still unknown. Number seven, pollution impact. If a closed loop cooling system is utilized, the water used to cool the facility usually contains PFAS coolant compounds, which when they leak or need to be drained, will end up in the aquifer and further contaminate the drinking water for residents. Number 8, public impact. These facilities are giant windowless structures that offer no public amenities, diminish property values to the surrounding areas, and would ruin the quiet character of our community. Bethlehem Township should prioritize the long-term stewardship of our water, power, and land for the benefit of residents rather than subsidizing the expansion of tech corporations and chasing ratables. We urge the Township Committee to follow the lead of other forward-thinking communities and protect their future by banning this industrial use. Warren County Commissioner Kern has drafted a model ordinance attached. Municipalities across Warren County, across New Jersey, and across the country have recognized that these types of developments are not good neighbors and have passed ordinance this year banning data centers in their community due to all the factors listed above. We strongly encourage the Bethlehem Township Committee to adopt an ordinance to codify a ban on data centers in our municipality. Thank you for letting me read it.
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did the environmental commission identify anywhere where these could be built in Bethlehem?
So we didn't specifically look at it from that point of view, but we were thinking not just mega data centers, but small ones as well. Like I know Mayor Muir had mentioned the cornfield right on 173, came to the environmental commission, as a matter of fact, and mentioned that specific property. I don't know if it can be built there or not. We didn't address that. We were just kind of in general trying to encourage the township to be ahead of it rather than be proactive, because some towns are being sued right now. I think Andover and another one, because they waited and then the developer comes in. So no, we did not look at specific properties or is it feasible or not. We just were trying to, just like warehouses, have us be proactive.
Yeah, I mean, no warehouse is actually able to be built in Bethlehem.
Well, because we put that in our master plan.
Not just
Yes,
that,
we
because
did.
because the Highlands.
We did put it in the master plan though.
We did, yes,
That's all I'm saying.
but, yeah.
And there is the planning area too.
there's a-
The planning area, Highlands planning area, which has an overlay on it.
Yeah, but
That wouldn't be for us.
I'm
That has no.
similar to the warehouses, we were just trying to have the township be proactive rather than reactive.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I agree with your with the idea. I just wonder whether or not it's just, an ordinance looking for something to ban, because I
Well-
just don't think that it can happen in our town, but,
Until it happens.
well, no.
I mean, you're right. The
Yeah,
thing is, the impervious coverage of that, it's all building and it's all pavement.
yeah,
So you would never get the impervious coverage in Highlands to agree.
and anywhere in the Highlands preservation area, there's no way you can do that.
The only advantage is you probably need less parking lots in the warehouse.
But I think just like when we talked about warehouses, putting all of our eggs in the basket of the Highlands will save us is probably not wise. Because you just don't know.
It could
It's
change.
guaranteed.
No,
It's gonna,
It could change,
Things are gonna change.
administration could change.
I'd rather be the driver of our own ship.
Except the Highlands has saved us through probably the most adverse administrations to the Highlands. And nobody was ever able to get around the Highlands, just that nobody's been able to ever get around the Pinelands. And the Pinelands is where, is really was the model for the Highlands. And, the restrictions in the Pinelands are incredible. And they have been around for 50 years, not just, since 2004. Yeah, it's open.
It's still open.
Yeah.
So first of all, there are some going into Highlands, Wineland has one. Second of all, in the Highlands, there's a redevelopment. And so it has to be 70% impervious coverage, or the Highlands can determine this parcel can be redeveloped. So there are, even today, loopholes that can skirt around being in the preservation area.
And Ryan, well put too, because Never say never, or how many times have we seen things become inherently beneficial? May not be a huge one, but inherently beneficial. How many of us use our cell phones? How many times do we need data centers? To be honest, right? Otherwise, things will stop. Everything's growing. We never say never. All of a sudden, something that wasn't, all of a sudden is inherently beneficial and can maybe be smaller, be allowed. Just saying.
Or we could just build them in China.
I mean, there is also discussion about having, smaller servers within homes. That's something else that's coming down, right? So, I mean, they'll offer a certain amount of money a month for you to host a couple servers. So, I mean, the power usage is still gonna be used, it's just gonna be dispersed out amongst the population. So, I don't know if that's something that we want to look at, and with the possibility of that coming down. It's not a full-size data center, but, if everybody has 5 or 6 servers in each one of the houses, thousands.
But there are certain things that, are very valid about Publisher Square, our water supply. Where do we get our water? And there's been, incidents of potential pollution of our water, and it goes right back into,
And that's exactly what the Highlands was designed to address. And that's why the Highlands and the Pinelands was such a strong law, because they had a lot of proof behind it that, we are the water source for the majority of New Jersey. And so you have to protect that water source. And so, I mean, a lot of you here don't remember what it was like before the Highlands went through. We were constantly being bombarded with development every single meeting. Development after development after development was looking to come into this town. And the day the Highlands went through, that all stopped. So, I mean, I appreciate that the Highlands was passed, because it not only did it stop a lot of overdevelopment in this area, but it also, it is the legal protection that we really fight a lot of things under today. And I think that that's something that we need to keep in mind. And, I have no, if any data center wanted to come within 10 miles of me, I think I would probably not be happy about it. But at the same time, I think that in Bethlehem Township, we have a protection that we need. And I'm not one for really writing laws for something that, that isn't a possibility. If I saw a possibility of this, I would certainly want to do something about it.
I would just like that. I think with the way Ryan said it is best, and that is, I'd rather be the driver of our own bus. I think you said shit, our own bus. Like what happened, again, I know what ifs, but let's say it gets, they wipe, is it unlikely? Sure. But what if they get rid of the Highlands? What if?
So
Then we have no protection. And then, I don't know, I'd rather be the driver of our own bus. That's just my opinion.
If they got rid of the Highlands, we would have plenty of notice.
Yeah.
And then we could pass all sorts of things to make sure that, and then, we would certainly be much more justified in spending the money that these sorts of, because this law, this ordinance is not gonna be free. It's something that we have to pay for. And I just don't see what it is that we're stopping at this point. We've got to be careful.
Is there any way we could assess where one could be built, or, to take it?
I know the environmental commission didn't look at it in that detail. We were just trying to be proactive from a general point of view, similar to the warehouses. And never say never if something can be built. Look at the industrial zone on 173 that gets out of exemptions, which is now an industrial zone.
But that is in the what?
That's pre-existing.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jose. The Highlands was one of the best things that ever happened, especially for our area. However, we're not just talking now, 10, 20, 30 years out. We're talking about what could happen in the future. A lot of communities and states are making where these, no matter what size the data center is, it has to be self-sufficient. Now, I mean, I'm not an engineer by no means, but who's to say if someone comes before and says, now, new technology, I tap into this one's water supply down in Clinton, they allow me to, I can come up here or over here, or somebody, you know, down over in Warren County, yeah, we can do the water supply, we'll go in. And again, getting back to that inherently beneficial, it's permitted. I do not know, I don't have a crystal ball either. Although sometimes I'm called a witch, but what about the future? Not just talking about ourselves, talking about, like we talk about perpetuity and things like that. Can you head off something? Perhaps. Can you put a price on that?
You know, I sort of agree, why wait till they come here and ask? What, you know, some developer comes out for a data center. We don't have where. I'm just saying.
It has to be something that could be going into that area. We are entirely in the preservation area, and our development area is also under the preservation rules, except for the overlay. And the overlay was done only for a specific purpose, and it cannot be industrial. I mean, it's, again, we're writing a law for something that can't happen in our town. If it ever gets to the point where they can happen in our town, then we have time to put this law into effect.
So I don't want to short circuit the conversation, because I want to listen to what people were sharing. We held this discussion Thursday night, township committee meeting. We had quite a few people come out, along with clock counters. I'll admit I didn't look at our agenda for tonight, otherwise I would have reached out in advance. I figured I'd just give it under the mayoral report. We're going to be taking action on both items. Regarding data centers, yes, it's almost impossible to put a data center in Bethlehem Township the way our zoning ordinances already are, but we want to make sure, and the public sentiment was very much in favor of doing that. And yes, we would take on the cost of that, but we have templates that we can use. So our attorney's already working on an ordinance. We're going to be introducing it at the township committee level. It will come here for master plan conformance, and we would like to have that passed before the end of the year. That just while we're on it, the real rules are coming back as well, so we need to update some of the stormwater ordinances. So those are the two things that need to be done before they come from the committee first, and then come here for master plan conformance and any other comments, and go back to the committee that need to be done before the end of the year.
Sounds like a plan.
So, just, Jose, to your point though, what if someone came in and bought, Summit, or Summit Supply, bought the little warehouse on the other side of the train track from him, bought out Charlie, bought out Ox Fuel, or Fuel Ox, and built those 4 existing buildings? I mean, that's a lot of square footage, right? And connected them all to the same network and not far apart. That's gonna generate a lot of noise and use a lot of water in existing commercial buildings.
So you're saying they converted that from what they are now?
Correct.
To,
Do we have anything to stop that from happening?
I don't know that it would be, I guess that would be, yeah, that would be a change in use.
What are commercial properties, aren't
But that doesn't mean the use is what we
The highway commercial has defined uses, and that data centers is not one of them. So theoretically, by not, the land use law, by not permitting it, you disallow it automatically. So my caveat is it's not allowed. The comment that we made at the township committee meeting is, every we share here on it, and every property owner has the right to at least try to do what they think they should do with their property, which is why the variance process exists. So somebody could purchase that, and nobody could take away their right to come here for a variance for a data center if they would so choose. So that's why the ordinance just.
How are we defining data center?
That's the key to the, that's the key to the ordinance. So And actually, I'll give Ken credit because he's throwing a wrench to our plans because a lot of it was deciding about the size, because theoretically, like say, you're a financial advisor and you have a heavier duty, you have a server in your home to work with clients, that's a small data center. And so that's one of the things that was brought up is how do we define, I mean, I think this is gonna be geared towards things that are not in homes right now. And we may need to, look at that in the future because we didn't think about kind of these, you know, if there's a way to do small connectivity data centers. But we also don't want to preclude somebody who has a, you know, professional or some other business that needs a small server in their home. Like our building here would be considered a data center based on the size of the server that's managing the township. So how does that, then we, you know, we're not subject to our own ordinances, by the way. It's a good point.
In the school, we exempt the small business.
It'd be the same, I'm sure your server's probably larger than ours.
I think that any, government would do. But
But how do you get to the point where you're gonna police what people can put in their homes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it comes down to you, I
Do you
mean,
wanna be?
again, use
policing what
and
people are putting in their
going right
homes?
back to, you know, the heating, the cooling, the amount of energy use, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you go from a 200 amp service and now you need to have a 600 amp service part of your house. You know, you can do that without a variance, or if it's at the home. So, I don't know,
Wouldn't even come to us, yeah.
you know, that would never even.
It's gonna be home occupation, which kind of said, you know, unless somebody says something, you know, you can't hear it, see or smell it, we don't know it's there, we're not out policing. We hope people do comply, and if for some reason you are caught, then we ask for compliance, but the technology is gonna change, I mean, even now, Xfinity, you don't realize, if you look at your cable contract, your boxes, that's why you don't have your own router in your own house anymore. Their Xfinity phone system, if somebody pulls into your street, you're an Xfinity customer, part of your data is actually dedicated to supporting that system, as one of their nodes, it's written right in the contract. More densely populated countries, like Tokyo, barely has any cell tower or 5G service, they're so densely populated, the phones themselves create a mesh network, everybody's carrying their own network within these densely populated areas. The technology so wide, eventually servers may do the same.
I have my own problem.
You have Comcast or Affinity or? I don't know if this stupid thing is built in, no.
I think you have the choice of.
Putting it in your own,
Yeah.
I guess it's a challenge thing, I read the contract.
I have one, these data centers are saying they use them in store. How do we know that for sure? Has anybody seen any of the accounts? You know, there's a lot of propaganda.
Well, they do, I mean, you can do open loop systems or closed loop
Yeah.
systems, and if you did hit that, you can have cooling towers, have a completely closed loop system, so it's not using.
But then it's just putting all that heat into the air, right? Yeah, which is, I mean, the data centers themselves, I'm not a fan, for sure. But, you know, the thing that I worry about more is, you know, you're right, technology is changing, so how we write that ordinance, how does that project into the future? Saying, you know, what could be developed into the future that all of a sudden gets all around our ordinances and doesn't.
What was saying, it could amount to small ones,
Exactly, yeah.
you know,
Well, I mean-
giant
I mean, there's
50-acre one.
discussion is always happening where just, you know, you put 4 servers in your house and you're gonna get $1,000 a month of income from that. You know, you start going around to every single person, you know, you're not controlling them, they're controlling this stuff remotely. But if you're gonna get 1,000, all of a sudden, everybody in town's gonna be putting servers in. I mean,
And it's the same thing that happened with the cell towers, the cells. Look at the
yourself,
apartments in the cities. They're all, the space that they, even if they don't use it, the space that, the money that makes for those, landowners on those apartment buildings.
But, and that's a really good example, because 4G needed towers, 5G has nodes that are on telephone poles all over the place, and we can't stop them. You know, so our ordinance that somehow, which wasn't possible to control because all of us have a cell phone with us right now. And we also all have computers, so it's like, you know, all these things that we don't want is all well and good, but, you know, unless we're willing to give up our computers, we're gonna have these things, and I'm all for putting them in China.
Well, I think they belong out in the desert in Arizona or Texas or, you know, wherever, like, you don't put them in a community, you know, you don't put them in, I don't, you know, they're redoing the Merck facility in Rahway. That's supposedly gonna be data.
It's a
I don't know
huge
if that- there's people that live right there, and I don't think that's the sort of place to do it. Does New Jersey need a data center at all? I don't know.
Oh, you're right.
The proximity of the data center is important, right? It's Microsoft or whatever big company's building them. It doesn't matter really where it is, as long as it's connected to the internet.
I mean, we still gotta have wires going. And so a lot of this is regional, it's why we have power plants regionalized.
Our data centers are so much, data can travel a long distance real fast, a lot easier.
Three hours from now, there's somebody in a planning board meeting in Arizona saying, we need to protect our open space.
But how do you justify it? Or not justify it there and then justify it here, right? If the desert needs to be protected in a certain Bethel Township does, so,
I think most of them, they're gonna wanna build them close, as close as possible. Well, that, and I said, the real connectivity, is the power, so they actually need their own little substations, so it's depending on whatever the power company is willing to put the power with water is kind of secondary, because they're close to your system, if they need to, so, I mean, that's not. Yeah, yeah. Thanks again, that's brought up with the township meeting Thursday night. So at least maybe we start that, that's a benefit of not having reliable power. Don't bring your data center here, but we have the power. A lot of them have backups and self-sufficiency seem. I haven't seen the template, our attorney and engineer both work with municipalities that have banned, data centers, both, here in Hunter and in other places. Suzanne, I think you were the one, I think it was like only 25, maybe it's 30 at this point.
I think it's 26 that banned them, and then, there's like many more that are in.
Yeah, I think there's only like 4 in Hunter right now, so, but I think it's smart at least to have something passed and approved before the end of the year to get us started. And maybe, our chairman's very proficient in reviewing ordinances, I know you've done that before, so maybe we put on some ticklers to look like every 18 months to review this or a year or something, whatever it might be.
Yeah, times change, so we can always adjust it.
the other thought I had, just maybe for future discussion, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but there's one of the question I asked is how do you define a data center, right? And how do you define a warehouse? How do you define a warehouse versus light manufacturing, like over in Greenwich, where they're having that debate. And instead of defining a business and saying we don't want that, we're better off writing ordinances against the characteristics of businesses that we don't want. Massive water usage, massive electric usage, huge number of tractor trailer parking lots or parking spaces. And who cares what you call it?
But then you have to define huge.
Well, we'll give you a number. I don't know off the top of my head how much a data center water usage. I don't know if you know what a four-person residential house uses for water, but we could easily come out with numbers and say, if your business, you go to a restaurant. I used to own one. I'm correct. Look at their water bills and see what we went through in the restaurant because we brewed our own beer. Whatever, we could come up with numbers and say, if you're in a business or a new business coming in, we're gonna put a water meter on it, this is what water consumption is limited to, like you can't go over this or something along, I don't know, I'm not saying I have the right answer. The point is, what are we concerned about? We're concerned about water usage, we're concerned about electric usage, we're concerned about, drainage and stuff like that. So if we address the problems without putting a label on it, is that a better way to go? That's just kind of
that was some of the discussion. So Thursday night, it was our attorney and engineer who said we had 2 bans and the ordinance just to ban data centers. And I think it's like, oh, you ban data centers. and then put some definitions under it, or a conditional ordinance, which then defines the conditions you're trying to prevent. And so I think, Thursday night, we're kind of like, yeah, we're gonna ban down the setters, and that's nice and clear, and it's easy. I think the conditional ordinance may be a little more complicated, but it may serve our purposes better. And so, I'm hoping to have something, our next meeting is September 3rd. First, like I always try, I think maybe I'm being the second September meeting before we introduce this, or was that the first discussion and then introduce it, first meeting in October to make sure that we have time to. Yeah, so there'll be some reviewing things in this, and then of course it comes here, so there'll be a lot of thoughts here as well. I remember the fence ordinance, I thought it could be nice and smooth on that, and you guys figured out 2 hours worth of discussion about fence, which I do appreciate. I really did appreciate that much thought about fencing.
I agree with you, getting something done by the end of the year, but I'm just saying for the future, for any other situation that comes up, where they're struggling to define something, don't define it, attack the issue. Right?
Very sorry about
I believe that the way our board is supposed to work is exactly that we have, we've defined a lot of those things in our master plan, which is why we always ask whether or not, our ordinances conform to our master plan. And so, all those things, everything that was stipulated about what we don't like about data centers, I agree with, and it's part of the basis for why we could ban data centers. And, but those things should actually also be in our master plan to give teeth to any ban that we've had. Because any ban that we put together, we could say, we don't like data centers, which is not a way that you're supposed to do zoning. Zoning is supposed to be done because there are reasons that you've already articulated in the master plan that say why it is that this use should not be allowed. And as long as we have those excuses or those reasons already in our master plan, then we're much safer. We can say that we don't want data centers because of all the reasons that they articulated. And that gives us the defense that we need in court so that when we do get sued, we can win.
That might actually be really the best reason to support more of a conditional ordinance than something that's specific to data centers, because if you think about our master plan, it talks about protecting resources and the natural environment and all that other stuff, which would really fold very neatly into that kind of an ordinance.
Right.
And data centers are gonna change, like we all discussed earlier, what's a data center 5 years from now compared to that? What is a building now gonna maybe last 15 years, if they're lucky, and then they're gonna be probably obsolete. They're gonna be turned into a warehouse.
A year ago, were any of us talking about data centers? Who knows what we're gonna be talking about a year from now? So,
Well,
Yeah, we're all, everyone who uses ChatGPT, this is the end result.
Exactly, that's exactly right.
Just like buying anything from Amazon, we're dealing with warehouses. So that is a problem. We're all using these components. And they have to go somewhere, but we don't want them. But yeah, we're still willing to buy products from various companies.
their stuff.
And we still want to be able to hit our phone and ask ChatGPT what the answer is.
I always thought that ChatGPT was such nonsense. Who needs this stuff, And then my wife started using it to help design our new house. And it's like, it's amazing. You tell it, you want this, that, the other thing, and it just draws out something that an architect would have charged you thousands of dollars to do. And all of a sudden, it's there. And if you don't like it, just change what you don't like. You just tell it. And that's the thing, it is
Amazing.
We use it all the time on the farm, calculated, fertilizers.
Yep.
It's so much
Data centers.
Wait, you need data centers for that.
fun. As they put data centers somewhere else.
Yeah. All right, I need a motion to close the public.
So.
All those in favor?
I think we already had our discussion.
That was all the same.
So, the committee's gonna write something up and then we'll just have to deem it, not inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come in front of us and, yeah, our discussion points. Go back. Council committee, they can take some recommendations or not take recommendations. Doesn't matter. So, all right, let's do minutes. July 27th, 2026. Right here. Great job, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the July 27th, 2026 meeting.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Sentence, abstain?
And
For the public, motion. So moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Any other comments?
Barbara Copeland, 507 Charlestown. I just have a question. Is
I'll be able to pick it up, so the echoes are bad enough.
Is an amendment to the master plan more effective than writing an ordinance?
Master plan is just a suggestion. The town can ignore the master plan. They're probably not advisable, but the town can ignore that.
So the ordinance then, if the vision for the future doesn't match whoever is on the board, can be amended.
Correct.
But like Jose said, the master plan, and it backs up the word, the justification for the word.
Right, I think a lot of things we put in there in the last time, but what we had a discussion of, the warehouses were part of the. Yep, sure. So a lot of the characteristics are similar, those things we didn't want, will serve well to what Brad was sharing.
Any other comments? Any motion to close?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
The only thing else, is we discussed data centers. So thank you for doing that here. It's good to hear the planning board members share their thoughts. The public was great, environmental commission, thank you for putting together the initial letter. Good turnout of the public to share as well. And on Zoom, the other thing that we brought up were flock cameras. Again, and how would we regulate those? That will be coming here for an ordinance. What we're going to create is what I'm calling a resolution of responsibility. Flock, FLOCK. They're just like any other camera essentially, except their technology is geared towards government use, much more hardy, much more detailed. So it tracks license plates. They'll theoretically track facial recognition. It tracks your cell phone, you can Bluetooth on. It'll know if you added a bumper sticker onto your through X12. If for some reason it wanted to track you, it delineates your vehicle very accurately. So the challenge is there's definitely Fourth Amendment issues around them, as well as privacy. And I kind of share, I think a lot of people move to Bethlehem Township for privacy and rural and private lifestyle. So I did share Bethlehem Township. We don't have a law enforcement built in. We work with the state police. There are no flock cameras in Bethlehem Township. There's two at exit 12 and one at the corner of 579 and 173 in Bloomsbury. I believe at least one of the ones I actually filed in Bloomsbury are run by the Hunter County Prosecutor's Office. Even if we created an ordinance to say that we don't want these cameras here, we don't have jurisdiction. And so, really what we're just asking for with this resolution of responsibility that we're going to send to the Attorney General's office and the legislator is just asking about responsible use of the cameras, because that's what's concerning. And also, what's the next step of kind of all this monitoring? We can't ban them, because we're usually in jurisdiction. So that's what I wanted
They
to
can
know.
put them on the highway, they can put them on 173, they can put them on.
Private,
Yeah.
like you say, it also,
Hampshire roads, you know.
businesses, private businesses are allowed to have it. We can't tell a private business or house that they can't have a camera.
And the state police want to be able to have access to your camera, you're using the camera.
I'll say some
That can be used for the same sort of.
some more densely populated municipalities that are trying to monitor crime are actually, when people come to the planning board, part of their site plan is the requirement is you have to put two of these cameras up or whatever they are, so that the police have access to your parking lots, to monitor what you're doing. So, actually certain municipalities are very much in favor of them. They help with car theft, they help with, I would imagine home theft as well, if you're tracking the vehicles. They've helped with, the silver alerts, the older folks that get lost in track cars pretty easily. But it really, it's the regulation, who can use them, when you can use it, how long information is saved. I just wanted to, like, the data centers came from the, environmental commission and block cameras really came asking, do we have these in Bethlehem Township? Who put them up as government? We have cameras at the park, they're not block cameras, because we don't need that type of technology. They're very similar to what you have in your home if you have a home. Putting cameras in the community center, mostly because, unfortunately, we're facing more and more storms, and we've been opening that. I don't think I've seen that center open as much as it has been for shelters and shelter purposes. And so we're going to keep cameras in there just to monitor the space as it's used for shelter. But same thing, they're not facial recognition, they record and put the data for 30 days and it goes away. A block will store data for up to 3 years, and it's very detailed. So, just those were the two potential ordinance issues, and so we can't do an ordinance on blocks. So we're gonna try to start some sort of movement on responsible use and installation of that technology. Data center, you'll see an ordinance, and then our engineer did share that the real rules were upheld, and there's some additions to our stormwater that we'll need to adopt by, saying how ridiculous, I love New Jersey, January 20th of 2027. But you can't introduce an ordinance and cross over a year, and you can't introduce an ordinance and pass it by January 20th. So I'm not sure why they picked that date, so that's why I request to get this, it has to be approved before the end of the year. So those are the major updates for
So even though regular video cameras are not flock cameras, the data that they pick up can be converted to flock.
Yeah, there's a lot to it,
Yeah.
but I wanted to address it, so that residents knew what we could do, and we weren't ignoring it, and that we weren't, proactively supporting it either. It's something that we don't necessarily need in Bethlehem, but, the state police and the prosecutor's office, I'm sure, we're gonna keep putting them on state and county roads, and, there is, I think it's deflock.com or something, it's a advocacy group tracking the cameras, so it's pretty interesting. You can go to that, type in the zip code, wherever you are in Bethlehem, and search the area. I shared, Pahacon, all those shopping centers, the Lowe's and everybody else, there's at least 2 cameras in every single parking lot. That's in that. 2 cameras in the corners of the buildings. And then the deflock shows you the kind of the angles that they record as well.
And insurance companies are now asking for any of that information, if you should claim to have had an accident, like in a parking lot or anything like that. They're looking at that.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the truth of the matter is that, the crime rate in this country has never been lower than it is the last 10 years. And, flock cameras didn't do that, and now we're introducing all these 1984
Big Brother.
Big Brother type stuff, and it's like,
Because you have AI.
yeah, but it's like, why do we need this stuff when?
We don't, they need it to control.
Yes.
Then it's couched in safety and protection.
Oh, right.
Nothing else, for now. About stuff, community day, October 3rd, I just keep throwing that out there, so don't forget community day. October 3rd. Starts at 4 o'clock. Variety of activities for all ages, movie, fireworks, or fireworks, the DNM, so. Yeah. I've got the best view at that porch.
Yeah, that's not very community.
Saving you seats for years.
I don't know, unless you're inviting us all over there. So the subcommittee met, we have a lot of questions. Is it okay if I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a lot of questions. This property is entirely within the 150-foot, setback. And so, we are concerned about, DEP has a letter in the packet that says that all these conditions do exist and that it needs, and that this would need a DEP permit. And we did not think that it would be possible to get a DEP permit under the conditions that this is under at this point. So we do have some questions for Tom and for them as to whether or not this is actually, and there's any way that this can be done. And to that end, we kind of feel that it's a bit of a waste of time, of our time, to even review this until we know that they do have.
It's a way to the applicant's time, they can't get that.
Yeah.
This is, of course, in Margaret, right?
Yeah. So that was our general view of this whole thing.
Do we have to run that by the attorney or what?
Well, here, so we have a sidewalk scheduled, we have a, hearing scheduled.
Sidewalk again to the 19th.
26th, the hearing being the 28th.
September 26th.
September 26th. I will share, this property did appear before us, we can ask the attorney for some clarification on this, but because our process, I agree, we don't want to waste our time, but our process is, if approval is granted, it's granted, with getting all outside agency approvals as well. We're usually the first step, so I don't know if we have the ability to preempt it, because again, this property came before us, we'll share it. This is part of the reason we found one of our previous municipal zoning attorney, Kara, represented a landscape firm who came before us on this property and did not go there because they ended up with DEP issues they couldn't resolve.
Right.
I don't know if something's been done differently this time or if there's been some exceptions, but I don't know if we have the right to say that we don't want it or we can't hear it.
We've had numerous people come in here and then disappear.
Yeah.
For different things. One guy fixed forklifts. Somebody else.
On that property.
Okay.
So they just disappeared and they found out they had to go through
Yeah.
DEP or something, so.
Yeah, that may be the case. I just don't know if we.
I mean, they've done quite a bit. I've seen some paperwork on it, so let's wait for the hearing to go over the particulars. Any other board members have anything?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
They had the subcommittee meeting and they have questions, would they be putting them together and sending them to me so that I can put them in the file? Or forwarding them over to the engineer / attorney so that we have plenty of time for them to respond to the subcommittee between now and the time of the hearing?
Questions have to be addressed at the proper point, which is actually a hearing,
Okay,
so.
so then I don't have any.
So, the reason why we do this is so that they can deep dive into, when it just comes in front of us the night of a hearing, we might not be seeing what they had spent a little bit more time looking at. And so they have more questions than just the general board members will have. And so then that conversation can happen. They can testify to each of these questions and, you know, give that, there's work. Come back at a later time, but I think it's premature to ask a bunch of questions when it's, the applicant doesn't have the ability right now to answer. All right. You have anything else?
Yeah. Just that, I'm not gonna be at the meeting, September 14th.
Be trying.
So, should we bring in, Cindy Keefer as a filling?
No, probably.
Right now, there's not gonna be much on the
There's
agenda.
nothing on the agenda at this point,
Okay.
so.
So you can handle the minutes from the recording or.
From the recording and from the video, I'll be able to do that.
If anything changes, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, if something suddenly comes onto the agenda. And the other thing is that we have the open, the application of cast release, and we're holding on those for now, that application for now.
Okay.
All right, anyone else? No? Motion to adjourn. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.